Hi, I'm Service Dog Educator. For those of you who do not know me, I've been learning and advocating for service dogs and service dog handlers for over 10 years. I did have a service dog. His name was Leo. He has been retired since the beginning of this year. And then my son also has a service dog, and he is going to be retiring at the end of this year. And I classify myself as a service dog law expert because I've been doing it for over 10 years, learning all about it. And we're going to shift it over to Bumble so she can introduce herself.
Good evening. I am Bumblebee. I am a service dog handler and also dog trainer and service dog trainer. I have 2 dogs myself. I've got a emotional support animal and a service animal. I am also expertise on most living creatures in general. Kaiten, your turn.
Hi, I'm Mozz. I'm a service dog educator and service dog owner myself. I help train dogs, pets, and service animals, and I'm also very well educated on the law.
Brilliant. So these are the co-hosties of mine, and like I said, we have a third person that's going to show up anytime or in future lives. We'll introduce them when that happens. So we're going to go over the first topic, which is misinformation of service dogs. So here's how I want to start this topic. We've had a couple scenarios happen in these past couple of weeks before filming the podcast, and we're going to go over that, plus also what misinformation that we feel that is spread amongst the service dog community and to non-people that are not in the service dog community, so that way we can hopefully stop the misinformation at some point in time. So let's go into the incidents that we've been through. And we do have audio clips. I do believe that we're just going to put the audio clips in there. Or are we going to play it, Bumble?
We're going to play it.
Okay, so we have one audio clip of a follower who followed me and sent me and Bumble an audio clip of a person spreading misinformation. And then I'm going to go into the misinformation and the story area and how it was resolved. But we're going to play that audio clip first for a little bit.
All right, we're playing the one that you sent me on text.
But I saw one of your videos the other day, honey, and now I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you actually go about getting an ESA dog and a service dog?
Okay.
Because I have PTSD, told that I was able to get one, but I don't know the first place to start.
Hold on a minute. 2 secs.
ASPCA.
I gotta keep you. Stop it. You have PTSD, right?
Very bad.
Okay. All right. Do you go to therapy or anything, like a doctor?
I go to therapy and I have a psychiatrist.
So do I. All right. What you can do is tell them that you need a PTSD dog and tell them that you need a service dog. A service dog can certify, they can write out letters stating that you need to get certified for those dogs. And then what they do is go to your doctor fills out a report saying that you need a service dog.
So what's the difference between an emotional support dog and a service dog?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
So I'm going to end the clip there because essentially she goes on for the next 4 to 5 minutes about how there is no difference and how they are the exact same animal and how there are no laws pertaining to either of them.
Yeah. And it's a long clip, so we won't bore you guys with the entire clip. So first of all is what I want to tell people that are coming in that are hearing this clip. First of all, there is a big difference between what an ESA is and what a service animal is. While ESAs are really good for people that have mental health issues that are debilitating, they still have no public access rights, and they are not trained as what a service dog is trained to do. Service dogs are task trained to mitigate disabilities, whether that being psychological, physical, or medical conditions. They still do something other than basically be a pet with a title and just look fancy while you pet them. So for those who are not aware. So the lady who was talking in this video, this person was very uneducated, and I did end up reaching out to this person, and we did get a good resolution out of it. We did have a conversation. They were going to be a guest on the live, ended up them backing out of it, which is perfectly fine. You know, you can do what you want to do. Ended up blocking me and Bumble as well, even though we had a great conversation. But I'm so glad that the person that was in this video spreading the misinformation understood that the misinformation that they spreaded could possibly harm a handler or an individual in general. How do you guys feel about the clip that you guys heard?
Personally, you know, it is a little bit disconcerting that, you know, people are able to, you know, handle getting on TikTok, but not able to quickly Google search, you know, what is the difference between an emotional support animal and a service animal. I mean, even TikTok will kind of tell you the difference sometimes. You know, there's hundreds of handlers, you know, of both that will, you know, give you the correct information, or they will lead you to the correct information, which is on the ada.gov website. You know, in this day and age, I am of the very firm belief that, you know, while not everyone is super tech savvy, everyone at least has a basic knowledge of how to use Google. And Google is free. Google is not a bad thing. You can use Google to do many things. You can look up recipes. You can go on Pinterest. You can definitely look up what are the laws in my area for service animals and what are the differences.
Kaiten, how do you feel about the clip that was played?
I feel like this person was sadly really just misinformed, and just like Bumblebee said, well, Google is free, as is the website to the ADA. You do not have to pay to get said information, and as long as this person was willing to be educated and they retract their statement, which to me it seems like they did, then there is a little bit of harm, but it's not a no harm, no foul situation, but it is a oh my bad, I'm so sorry situation. And I just hope in the future that this person goes forward and actually references them to the correct sites or gives them the correct information in the future.
Yeah, 100%. Luckily, we did have a great resolution with this person, and they ended up saying like, oh, I'm so sorry, I was not aware, thank you for informing me, and everything, and it was a really great experience for me and Bumble to have, and we did have that recording on the resolution, but unfortunately they asked not to use that part, so we are not using that part because it does show their name and face on there, and I don't want to give I want them to have their own privacy, even though they did end up blocking us, and I was very, not upset, but taken back from it. But at the same time they want their own privacy for a reason. It is what it is, but we're glad that somebody listened to what somebody had to, like what I had to say, to let them know, hey, this is actually very damaging to the service dog community when you say things like this, because then our dogs are at risk. Our medical equipment's at risk. Children are at risk. Other individuals are at risk when you spread misinformation and tell people, oh, ESAs and service dogs are the same thing. They are completely not the same thing at all. And that's the main thing that I want people to understand and know, is that you're not only harming, you know, service dog individuals, you're harming other people. You can put kids at risk. I have 2 disabled children, and they don't really understand what it means to not be able to go up to a dog, because I have trained dogs in my household, and they think every dog wants to cuddle and wants to lick on them. They're also still little kids, even though it is my responsibility to watch my children and make sure that they don't go up to random dogs, which I do. There's still times when they're kids and they run up to a dog and they're like, oh, doggy, doggy, doggy. Now that dog could bite my kid if it's out in a place where it's not supposed to be in. And then there goes the fear of having a dog, you know, my kid being afraid of dogs because it bit him. Even though, you know, my kid maybe have been in the wrong or whatever, it's still, you shouldn't bring your dog out into a situation that it's not prepared for at all. It brings more harm than good. Does anybody have anything else that they want to add before we move on to the next topic?
I've got nothing.
No more notes.
All right, so the next topic on today's podcast is the toxicity of the service dog community. So this toxic environment that we have been in this has been happening since social media, I would say, started. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kaiten or Bumblebee, on that. But I feel as if since I've started social media back in 2020 and has been on here for almost 5 years, educating and advocating for service dogs, the toxicity has still never went away, let alone gotten better, because there are some people in this community that think they run the show, and nobody can have a different opinion, and if you don't do what they say, they want to out you. Especially a site on Facebook called the Blacklist Service Dogs. That site literally irks me, because I can understand, while yes, it puts people that can potentially cause issues for us, it's still, I got a train going by. Sorry. I'm gonna mute while this train goes by. Bumble, if you want to continue so you don't have to have bad audio.
No worries. I'll take over. Understanding how the blacklist works, it is a benefit in some way. Telling people, hey, this person's genuinely dangerous if their dog is reactive, or, having someone of a breeder standard, being like, hey, this person is trying to pass off, their non, well-bred mutts to people as service dogs, or dogs with bad genetic problems, off as service dogs, or just genuinely bad people. But I feel it is, it's also kind of a gossip site. It is perpetually filled with tiny little beef squabbles. I myself have been on that blacklist because somebody didn't like me. That was literally it. All it said was Bumblebee is mean. That was literally the whole clip. It was just it. So, I can see the usefulness of the blacklist site, but unfortunately, because the whole service dog community as a whole is toxic, and unfortunately, a lot of the younger people on this, that are on that, have that pack mentality of, well, I don't like what they said to me, so I'm going to blacklist them. And unfortunately, a lot of people do get harmed in the process. Educator, you and I, we were dragged into some drama together on there a while back that had nothing to do with you or the other person that was mentioned in it. And
exactly.
It just about ruined their life. And it's, thankfully it was resolved, but I'm just upset that it almost turned into a legal situation.
That's how bad it got.
To the tunes of hundreds of thousands.
Because the person that was affected, it was a business owner. They own a business, they run a business for the service dog community, and it was affecting their business. And that was, to me, despicable, because now they were trying to go after the business, and I was dragged into something that I had nothing to do with. It was only because I was in that chat that they were posting is why I got dragged in, even though I had no part of the situation that happened, and I was basically
a bystander,
guilty by association,
and a bystander.
Yeah, and a bystander, and they were coming at me and saying that I was this horrible person and I shouldn't be going live and all this kind of stuff, and it just spiraled out of control for no reason.
Yeah, it really did take a nosedive for no reason whatsoever. And that's not to say, there aren't some people on there that do deserve to be on there. There are some people on there that, their dogs have, bitten other dogs. Or people like, most recently, Zuko, let's bring up that a little bit. He was somebody that was very prevalent in both the veteran communities and the service dog communities. He said that he was a combat vet. Turns out, no, he wasn't. Said that he had a service dog. The dog was excessively, reactive, has had multiple instances of aggression, finally bit somebody, and, then he just, went AWOL. And unfortunately for, the whole community, it painted us all in a bad light. it painted the veteran community in a bad way. People were genuinely harmed by this because, he did take that money and run with it. Whatever he was donated, that was supposed to go towards veterans.
Or
like
service dogs
that's,
for veterans.
yeah, for service dogs and for trained service dogs, which apparently have never panned out. Which I also find very despicable, as a human being, to be doing to vulnerable individuals such as the disabled community, and especially towards the disabled veterans community. That's just a community that you just don't mess with.
It's very, as and what I will add before we let Kaiten add her notes in really quick, is that as a family of a military member who served his country, he was a Vietnam veteran, he was a Navy SEAL, he passed away when I was 14 years old, he was my grandfather, and I had so much respect for him. I felt disgraced by the fact of what he did to the veteran community, because having a friend in there, everyone knows him. He comes in here sometimes. He's called, no, I call him Uncle Two Vets, because he's a really good friend of mine and everything. Having him get impacted by this as well was just like the most hardening thing I've ever had to do in my entire life. And I spent hours on the phone with him, making sure that he was okay after this scenario. But
Yeah,
Kaden, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, hearing that Two Vets, was genuinely like upset by this made my heart hurt. But Kaiten, if you got anything. Mozz,
Yes.
you got any notes?
The toxicity on the service dog community.
Yep.
Or Zuko, or what happened with Zuko, anything that deals with like the toxicity or whatever.
Actually almost got blacklisted within the service dog community at some point because I wouldn't train someone's dog to be a service dog because their dog was a literal bite risk. I told them their dog was not okay and was not a safe dog to even utilize for training as a service dog. This dog literally attempted to bite someone at a bar, and I almost got threatened with being put on the blacklist.
Yeah, it's definitely that kind of, power struggle that people have. They're like, if you don't think I can, I will, type mentality. It is the childish mentality of being, oh, well, I know better than you and you don't know anything at all. It is a dynamic struggle, and unfortunately a lot of people in the service dog community like to have the mentality of, well, my disabilities are greater than yours, so yours don't matter at all, or something along the lines of a narcissistic kind of, mentality where it's, I'm the only person that's disabled. No one else can have this disability or something along those lines.
Or if you have a disability and it's not cookie cutter like what another person has, you're faking it. I've seen a lot of that too, for individuals that have PTSD or POTS or whatever the case is. If somebody else in the community has the same disability, they are very much like, you have to have the same symptoms that I do, you have to do the exact same thing that I do, and your dog has to do the exact same thing that I need for mine, or else your dog is not real. Your dog's a fake service dog, and you're faking a disability. And I think that is the worst thing you can do to somebody. So even if, hypothetically, I was faking a disability, right? That you would never know it unless I admitted to it, because of the fact of, you don't need to know my medical records. I do not have to come here and put my medical records on a live and show everybody my medical records. I have them. I could show them, but I'm not going to, because it's personal. Same as I'm not going to go on here and show you all my son's medical records, because that's his medical records that I get to see because I'm his mother, but I'm not going to show random people that. And it's nobody else's business what the disability that person has and what they need out of the treatment plan of that, whether it's surgeries, medications, service dogs, therapies, the list can go on and on.
I would agree. We don't owe anybody our disabilities.
I just want to stress that was a hypothetical, because I know somebody's going to clip this and say, well, the service dog educator said she's faking it. I am not faking anything. This is a hypothetical.
All right, Kaiten, you had something that you wanted to say? Kaiten.
Yes, I don't have notes.
All right. I don't have anything else.
All right, so the next topic on there is not an excuse to use your disability as an excuse to be rude. Velma, I'm going to let you take this one first.
All right. So, this is another video clip or audio clip that I was sent on somebody. There is a little bit of a kind of backstory to it. One of our listeners was scrolling through their TikTok page and they heard the topic of service dogs being brought up. And the topic was, well, how do I go about getting one? And, in this audio clip, it's of a woman of the older variety. Not too old, but not too young.
I was going to say, she's not elderly. She would be probably like 30s to 40s.
She's older than us.
She's like 10 to 20 years older than us. So it's not like she's elderly.
No, she is older than us, but not so old to be our grandparents. But they were talking about how to go about getting a service dog and how long it takes for training. So I'm gonna go ahead and play that clip. Hopefully it's loud enough.
Have you ever checked the pound? That's why I got 30, as long as they're a puppy. All around the pounds. It costs like $160 to buy my dog. And I had to promise to get him neutered. No, Mom, it's mine. He was a puppy. He learned everything on his own. It's mine, Mom. It's mine.
Yeah, see, I just want it complete. Like, I want it to be like instant pudding for seizures.
Stop it, Mom. It's mine. Stop it, Mom. $3,000. You don't need to spend $15,000 just for the dog and the training. You don't need that much training. It doesn't cost that much to get it done.
Okay.
Let's say $3,000 to $5,000, right? You get it trained for everything. You just tell them what you need it trained for, and they train the dog, and then they train you to listen to the dog.
Right.
To handle it.
Yeah.
And you don't need to spend $15,000. Go find a pound puppy that's the right breed. Is this your baby?
So that clip goes on to explain that a company will take a dog that this person brings in, train it for 2 weeks, and that's it.
Yeah. And so this is kind of the misinformation. So we're kind of going back to topic one a little bit, but in order for you guys to understand why we were sent to this person, we had to play that clip, and we do have the audio clip of the situation that I was in with them, and I was having a discussion with them and another person that they were live with, and I'm hoping that we can get that clip, so that way at least the YouTube channel.
I was not sent that clip.
Yeah, we weren't sent the clip yet, so we have to get that other clip. So hopefully it will be on our YouTube channel, if not, but I'm basically going to talk about what happened after that. So we listened, me and the group chat that I am in, we listened to the clip, and I went onto their page. I got a link to their page. I went onto their page that they were live on. And so me and Bumble went in there together, nicely said, hey, we heard that you were spreading some misinformation about service dogs. Is it okay if we come up and have a conversation like we did with the last individual? And automatically was blocked. The one person, not the person that I was trying to talk to, but a friend of theirs was like, they know exactly what they're talking about with service dogs. How dare you say anything to them? You're muted and blocking. Get out of here. So I was blocked. Bumble replied back saying like, hey, we were talking about the service dogs, misinformation. We're not trying to be rude. She got blocked. And then we had alt accounts. I have 3 other service dog educator accounts that I can go live on and talk to. So I went on to one of my alt accounts to go on there to try and have a conversation because I was a little annoyed that they kicked me off. Luckily, one of our followers came in there and said, hey, this is a person that's well known in the service dog community that knows all about service dogs, and can they please come up and have a conversation with you because they just want to talk. That's it. So everybody in here knows that's been on my lives before. I can be very high-voiced, and a lot of times my tone can come off as rude, but the way that I talk in my lives is completely different when I'm a guest in somebody else's life that I don't know. So this is kind of monotone. This is kind of how I usually talk, how I talk to my kids. I'm relaxed. But in that live, I was like, hey, hi, haha. Like, I was trying to be upbeat. I was trying to be like, you know, non-threatening in this sort of way. So I got to go up there and I was like, hi. First of all, when I commented before, it was not to be offensive in any way, shape, or form. It wasn't to sit there and say that you didn't know what you were talking about. I just got sent a clip that was, you were spreading misinformation, and I just wanted to talk to you about it. They're like, okay, what was the misinformation? And so I proceeded to tell him that they were saying that you could go to this program and get 2 weeks worth of training and then the dog be a service dog. They proceeded to explain that that's not what they meant and they must have misspoken. They apologized for it, and on and on. I decided to stay up there for a little bit longer after we had the conversation. One of the other persons that was up there decided to say that they got a dog that was a certified ESA. And I was like, can I just comment on that really quick? And they're like, yeah, what's up? I was like, there is no such thing as certification for service dogs nor ESAs. Any type of certification that you get is scam if you got it off a website. Now, if the dog went to some sort of facility and got trained, it still doesn't make it certified. It's just a certificate of completion. There's a big difference. So the individual that I was trying to talk to prior to the ESA thing, they kept on saying, before I even came out there, I have autism and I'm not trying to be rude, but I have autism. And they were very much combative, very much like, it's either, you're going to listen to what I have to say and I don't care what you have to say. And I was trying to have a conversation with them and they were very, very rude. So I was trying to talk to the other lady about how, you know, it does like that. There's no certification. So the lady that I was speaking to prior, the one that says that she had autism, was like, if you look up the definition of certification, it means that you get a certificate stating that you did this. And that is the dictionary term of certification. So you're wrong, beep, and then took me down. And I lost my temper at that point, because of how rude this individual was to me. So I just went off on the comments. And the hostie was a guy, and he was like, I'm a veteran, and I know that a certificate of completion means certification. You need to go get more education. So I said, honey, sweetie, boo-bookins, I have 10 years of experience in the service dog community and learning about the service dog laws. I've been doing this since I was 15 years old. Just because you're a veteran and just because you may have more life experiences than I do doesn't make you more educated on a topic. You're talking to an individual that spent 10 years of their life learning, advocating, soaking in all the much information that I could about service dogs to help other people, to help the service dog community. And they ended up muting me again and kicking me off the live in general. And luckily I had another individual in there that was recording the live. Like I said, I haven't got the clip yet. Hopefully we can get this clip so that way it can be at least in the YouTube video that we're going to post. But Bumblebee, do you want to comment on any, because you were there, anything that notes that you have on the situation?
Yeah. Unfortunately, being somebody with autism, and, you know, I earned my moniker of Gordon Ramsay of dog training for a reason. You know, I can come off as very cold and very callous, you know, and, you know, sound very rude, but, you know, I care for the animals that, you know, I am training to a degree that really no one else understands. You know, some people will be like, oh, it's just a dog. It's just a dog. Well, it's not just a dog to me, you know, and, you know, like all, you know, in my dog training days, I did call someone a donut. I did call someone, you know, an idiot sandwich, you know, in the interest of being funny, you know, but at the same time, you know, listening to that lady, you know, claim, well, this is just how I am. Honey, it's not because of your autism. It's because you're a crappy person. That's the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Your personality is that you are a not so nice person that doesn't like to listen to someone telling you information that you don't want to hear. I hear it all the time. On top of doing dog stuff, I do politics. I hear it all the time that people go, well, this isn't really who I am. And it's like, no, this is your personality. You have made yourself this person because you don't like to listen to facts with evidence. And unfortunately, it does, behoove everybody in a community, especially a service dog community, to be listening to the latest news, be listening to the newest of information, be looking at the newest of laws, looking at the updates that are that are coming out. But at the same time, this person did claim to have a service dog for herself for medical reasons. But unfortunately, to me, it seems like she hadn't done the fullest amount of research on this topic. Because, again, yeah, a certificate of completion in the definition does mean that you have completed it and you are technically, quote unquote, certified. But whenever it comes to service animals and emotional support animals, if you took a gander at, I think it's question number 8 on the list of frequently asked questions, is there IDs, is there certifications, and is there registration? It says no. It very plainly in black and white and in English and sometimes Spanish and other languages, it says no.
Well,
that there
and
are no
also, really
certifications.
quick, I want to add, I also looked up if you go through a program to train a service dog and they hand you a certificate, does that mean your dog is certified? Even me looking that up, it said no. And I mean, if you want to go and do that really quick so we can show everybody that I'm not lying
I can
here.
post it. I can put it up on the podcast.
Okay, so we'll put that on the video and everything to show
Yeah.
you guys exactly what I mean when I said that and everything. So I'm not lying. It literally said that as well. And to me, it was funny how this individual was trying to be so right. And when I was trying to explain to them in the nicest way as possible, they just booted me off like that. And they were like, no, we don't care about you. Goodbye.
It was the, oh, you're too young to know about this stuff. Bye-bye. It's like, like younger people can know more about things than you do. It's a very sad state of mind to be in, that you can't listen to younger generations or do even just, again, it goes into the first thing that we said, the bare minimum of looking up on, quick Google search, going ada.gov, and going, oh, well, maybe I was wrong. We're not asking for an apology. We're not asking, for somebody to get on their hands and knees and go, oh, we're so sorry for spreading misinformation. We're simply wanting a change because, again, a good apology, in my opinion, is change. Change in behavior, change in attitude, change in verbiage. But unfortunately with this person, she just didn't seem, like she wanted to listen. She didn't want to learn. She didn't want to expand her knowledge. She knew, quote unquote, knew everything. And unfortunately, in my opinion, whenever somebody tells me that, hey, I know everything, I just stop talking to those people, because there's more to life than just knowing, a lot. And, even though I know about 3 terabytes, hard drive worth of absolutely useless nonsense 9 times out of 10, I don't go around saying that I know everything. There's always something to be learning. There's always something to be proven wrong on. There's always something to change your mind and perspective. But that's just my take on it.
And I couldn't agree more. Katen, do you have anything that you want to add on to that topic?
I would like to add on about the using the disability as a weapon. Weaponizing your own disability is never going to be okay. As someone else who also has autism, using autism as a weapon when you're being blatantly rude to someone is not okay. Autism is something that causes you not to be able to communicate effectively or to be able to understand specific social cues. It does not cause you to be rude. No. Now, being rude is more of a personality trait than it is being autistic.
100%. And
I
as a parent of two autistic children and possibly autistic myself, I haven't got an official diagnosis. I am going for an evaluation for it. But as these two lovely individuals will tell you, most likely I am autistic. But I grew up having ADHD and ADD, and my own family and my parents told me growing up, this is not a crutch. You don't get to utilize this disability as a crutch and to make people feel bad for you or to get away with certain things. You are still like everybody else. You need to go in, you need to be kind, you need to be respectful, you need to be a good person. And when an individual is teaching you things, it doesn't make you less than anybody else. It just makes you learn something new. And everybody in this whole entire world, I don't care where you're from, I don't care who you love, I don't care what you do, everybody deserves respect. Everybody deserves to be heard on their own voice, well, whatever situation that they're in, and they have the right to tell you certain things. But being rude and condescending is not a good look for anybody. Especially when especially when you're supposed to be the adult that is way older than me or anybody else that would, like me or Bumble for that matter. You're literally the age of either my brother or what my mom would have been if she did not pass away. And even my own mother before she passed was a great person that wasn't condescending or rude. She took everybody's information and anything that they were trying to teach her, she took it and she learned something new. And I didn't expect to have an apology. I didn't want an apology from them. When I try to educate an individual, it's not that I want an apology. I just want you to know certain things so that way you're not spreading misinformation and we're making the community, the situation that I have and my son has worse. Because I don't need my dog that is retired now, but I don't need him injured again. If he were to go out, I don't need my son's dog injured. I don't need any of these two people injured with their service animals because they need them just as much as I needed mine and my son needs his. So I feel as a responsibility to educate other people. And I don't know how you guys feel on that matter, but that's how I feel.
I 100% agree. Again, as somebody who grew up in a similar household, where, we're all equal, your disability doesn't make you better than me. My disability doesn't make you better than you. Again, it boils down to the maturity levels of certain people, and unfortunately, using your disability as a crutch, for your bad behavior, it really speaks on your character as a person, to a higher degree. Because, again, I'm of the, I read people every day. I read them every day. If you have a bad attitude with me, I try to discern whether that's just your whole attitude or if it's just because you've had a bad day. And unfortunately with this person, when I was listening to her talk to you and, seeing as how she responded to me, it was very quick. It was very, I'm the older person here. I have disabilities. You don't know what you're talking about. And that was the end of the story. Instead of, taking the time to be like, okay, well, maybe I was wrong. I can do better as a person. I'm going to learn and I'm going to grow, which is what the whole goal of learning is growing, So it's just, it was telling of her character as a person that she just was very unwilling to listen and simply go, I was wrong. I 100% agree. I was wrong. So it's just, unfortunately, what you put in is what you give out. If you put kindness in, you get kindness out. But unfortunately, she wants to put, vinegar and salt into it, and she's just bad attitude. That's all I got to say about it.
Yeah.
Kaiten,
And that's how it
anything?
kind of felt. Kaiten, do you have anything that you want to add before we end this topic? And for those that are just coming in, for the record, if you have any questions that you want us to answer, comment them now, because once Kaiten finishes up, we'll get into that segment. If you don't have any questions, don't worry about it. But if you do, please comment them down below. So, Kaiten, do you have anything that you want to add to this topic before we end the podcast? Sorry, lost my train of thought.
I will say it's all about sharing kindness. I mean, the most important part of everything is to share kindness and to, as well as if you don't know something, that's okay. It's okay to not know. It's okay to want to learn and to be educated. That is the whole purpose of why we do these lives, is for us to be kind and to show people, hey, this is the law. It's not something that we make up or anything like that. You know what I mean?
100%.
100%.
So, if anybody has any questions, please comment them now. But if nobody has any questions, then this is the end of the Beyond the Leash podcast for our first ever thing. Oh, we got a question. So, quick question. Can service dogs go to buffets? I've had an incident tonight where I had to leave. Great question. Thank you for asking that question. So, under the law perspective, yes, your service dog is more than welcome to come to buffets with you. It's just not allowed in the kitchen to where they prepare the food. But if anyone from the public can go in there, so any wheelchair users, anybody in general can go into that buffet, your service dog is welcome because it is open to the public. Now, the kitchen where employees are only allowed, that would be only employees, and your dog would not be allowed to go back there. But if you can go in there without a dog in general, yes, you're allowed.
I also quickly want to preface that your dog is also allowed to go through the buffet line with you. They're not allowed in the kitchen, but they are allowed through the line where the prepared food is sitting.
I will also add, next time you go there, I would recommend recording just so you have it on record. And then possibly if they do try to deny you service again, then to let your local police know. Or you can go to the Better Business Bureau with it, because that is discrimination and is not ever okay.
It is not okay. I was going to get my food and I was told by the manager that she wasn't allowed near the food. That is illegal and they cannot do that. So I would definitely record the next time. She does not have to wait at the table, because I saw that you just comment that, because that is actually dangerous for you and for the dog. I'll explain why. It doesn't matter what type of disability you have, but let's say that it is a severe medical or a physical condition, like you may have this, which is not great, but which is your right to have a service dog for it. But let's say that something were to happen to where you had a medical or a physical situation happen and you needed your service dog. The dog was not there to alert to an issue or respond to the issue. And that is a lawsuit waiting to happen. And the danger for her is somebody can come up and steal her. Somebody can come up and hurt her. Somebody can do something to her or give her a treat that was not meant for her and has, bad things in it. So I would never allow my dog alone in an establishment that I didn't know people in. I could hear her whining in distress, so I felt bad. I would recommend next time not leaving your dog, because and this is not to your fault, but because you did that, now they're going to expect you to do it next time if you go. So here's what I would do in that situation is, if the manager comes up and says, hi, we can't have your dog in the line for the buffet, I would say under the ADA, which is federal law, I am allowed to have my service dog with me and I cannot separate from them. I'm perfectly legal to have my dog here. If they tell you to leave, then leave and record the incident and then go. I always record going into establishments and going up to buffets or restaurants until I have the food in front of me. And then when I leave, I record our way out. If nothing happens, I delete the footage. But if something happens, I have proof.
See, personally, I'm the kind of person that is very petty with stuff like that. I would say call the cops. That way, at least it's documented. from a law standpoint, so then that way you can simply go, hey, they kicked me out. This is what the police said. It's a right against, the ADA. I'm going to press charges. Here's the lawsuit. There you go. I would
Even
also be recording.
your friend, though, it's the possibility of you becoming injured medically or physically or even psychologically. If you were to have a mental health issue, if you have mental health issues, you could get, be injured, or the situation could result into a situation that could have been prevented if the dog was with you. Kaiten, I saw that you put a hand up. Going ahead and add whatever you would like to add.
So I've actually had this similar situation happen to me multiple different times. And every time what I do, especially if they've approached me while I'm in line getting food, is just tell them she's a service dog and completely ignore them. If they press on, yeah, my dog also does PTSD response. So I always tell them she is a service dog. She is legally allowed to be here. Please leave me alone, and I continue on with my day.
That's the way to go. So that way, it's not a confrontational situation. It's you telling them your rights, and then proceeding on. And if they want to go into more of an issue with it, then oh, my phone just vibrated. I am so sorry. That scared the crap out of me. Oh, the jump scare was real, guys. Oh, did you guys hear that?
Yes, we did.
We did.
Oh my. Did it jump scare anybody else?
No.
Let me fix the vibration. There we go. No sound.
And Cash, that's okay that you weren't sure how to handle it. I mean, it can be scary being confronted in person, especially for someone with PTSD and anxiety. It is so terrifying when people walk up to me and have something to say about, like, my disability or my service dog.
Or are coming up with, like, a general kind of, like, somewhat of an aggression. It's like...
Microaggressions are so scary, especially as a service dog handler, because we already face a lot of imposter syndrome just being handlers,
Mm-hmm. Is there any other questions that anybody else has before we end the podcast tonight? I want to make sure that whoever's in here that has a question gets it answered, so that way, any questions that anyone has. We don't want to end this without somebody making sure that they know what they need to know. All questions that deal with service dogs or even the topics are welcome to be asked. If it's outside of service dog stuff, I would recommend not asking them, because that is not our expertise and we don't really want to give bad advice. So if anybody has any more questions, we're gonna start closing it off. While we're waiting, if somebody wants to ask another question, I'm going to say thank you to Bumble and Kaiten for being in the podcast today. Like I said, we do have a third person that was supposed to show up. They ended up not showing up today, so hopefully they'll be in the next Friday's one. So if you guys want to continue being into this podcast and watching it in real time, we're going to do this every Friday at 9 a.m. from now on. And also, it's linked in my bio, the podcast. If you guys want to go subscribe, if you haven't already, please go do so. We will post it every Sunday. How do you get kids to leave your dog alone? Another great question. So there's not really a definitive answer for this, because kids are going to interact with your dog either way. Here's how to lessen it, though, without scaring the kid, barking at the kid like Kaiten suggested, or having confrontational issues. I tell this to everybody, that everyone who has a service dog, their dog should know how to do this. It is called the switch command, which basically, if your dog is on your left, it will go to your right when you say switch. And this move is very good for safety. If there's a dog that you don't know if it's a service dog, if a kid is coming up and you don't want to have confrontation, or even if an individual is coming up, like an adult coming up and you don't want to interact with the person either, the dog switching and you keep walking is the less confrontational and safe way for your dog. It could also help you with, if you're having issues on your right side more than your left, you can say switch and get them on your right side. If you're having more issues on your left side or whatever, you can have it switched either way. But that is the one task that I had my dog trained in for safety for children and other dogs. And I would recommend it to anybody. Yeah, so the switch command, for an example, if the child is coming up, you're gonna, like, if it's coming from the left side and the dog is on the left side, you're gonna say switch and the dog will go to your right, and then you, like, basically book it. And you get away from the child as far as possible without having any confrontation to that person. And just like, if you have your cart, just pretend like you're like looking around like, oh, I forgot I needed eggs. And then don't even go towards the eggs. Just go somewhere completely different, you know?
See, when I've had a child try to climb on my dog's back as well, and unfortunately this kind of goes into parenting a little bit. Personally, I have raised 4 children. They aren't my own biological children, but what I have found is the most effective is if you use kind of a mom or a dad tone, depending on whatever orientation, saying, "Hey, get off," asking, "Where are your parents?" Or something similar to that. Just telling them, "Hey, this is not appropriate. Get off." I'll say this: it is not illegal to be. It is not illegal to be.
It is illegal to distract a service dog, though.
It is illegal to distract a service dog. It is not illegal for you as a handler to be mean. Being mean is free. It is absolutely not a crime. I will say I was really proud of how my dog didn't react. Yeah. Also, your dog probably shouldn't be that far away from you that the children are climbing over your dog. But that goes into just handling. But in general, you do have to set boundaries with yourself. A lot of time people forget that, your service dog is your medical equipment, not everyone else's medical equipment, and people will push that boundary over and over and over again. They will go, do it in the weirdest ways possible too, But what I have learned over the years of handling my own service dog is practicing in the mirror and going, no, you can, and not necessarily being mean, but working on, how strict my tone is.
I was going to say, it's the sternness of your voice.
Yeah, because again, you are your dog's advocate. You as the human are responsible. You are the only thing standing between you and your dog. You need to advocate for yourself almost as much as we advocate for you. And your dog works for you. You have to have some semblance of a backbone. It sounds mean, but unfortunately that's the truth. You have to be able to advocate for yourself. I hear it all the time. Well, I don't want to. You do. It's going to eventually happen. You're going to get in a situation where, I've had this happen before, where I've had a, older woman come up and literally grab my service dog by her face and go, oogie, boogie, 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 and rubbing her face back and forth. As much as, I was raised on, respect your elders, respect is earned and not given freely. I will respect somebody if they leave me the heck alone. But, did it feel bad yelling at an old lady for getting in my service dog's face? But, again, what she was doing was illegal. It could hurt.
A lot of stuff can happen if a dog is distracted, especially if you have medical or physical conditions that can relate to unalivement if the dog misses an alert, because that's what it comes down to for me is I can be unalived if my dog misses an alert. While I do like to use Leo as a educational moment and an advocacy for service dogs and everything, and I do allow people to pet my dog, it's more and less of if I'm okay with doing it, and I know, and Leo, I can get him back into work quickly, and having people respect my boundaries, and that's all it's about, is respecting the service dog and the handler's boundary and being able to live your life. We are not circus acts. You don't get to, nobody gets to claim that you're a circus act because you have a dog in an establishment where it's not normally supposed to be. And I do not want anyone to think that just because they have a dog in there, the service dog handler is what I'm meaning, just because you have your dog in there doesn't mean people can come up and interact with your dog. It doesn't mean that in whatsoever. But I am going to end the podcast here. Those of you who have joined, thank you so much. And thank you so much for asking your questions. And if we didn't get to a question that you wanted to ask, please feel free to DM me and I can answer your questions into there. Like I said, please check out our YouTube channel that is going to post the video on Sunday, hopefully, if not Monday, whenever Bumblebee can finish it up and everything. But it's called Beyond the Leash Podcast. Go look it up. It is linked in my bio again. Make sure we follow Bumblebee and Katen as well. They are amazing service dog handlers and educators, and we love them very much. And we're so glad that they are one of our co-hosts here. And please also follow me, because I will be live Monday through Thursday doing regular scheduled lives. And next week, those of you who don't know, on the 1st of October, we will be doing a new live topic for the month of October, spreading autism awareness for the month of October. So it's going to be different than service dog education, but it's a whole other topic that we're going to dip our toes into and everything for the spooky season, because I love Halloween and Christmas. So yeah, go ahead and follow, and I will see you all Monday with another live. Thank you guys for so much for listening, and I will see you all very, very soon with another live. Make sure you train your service dogs if you have them and haven't already. And any of you two want to make an ending note before we leave?
I'm good.
Just make sure that y'all are staying safe out there, okay?
Be safe. Love you guys. We'll see you guys very, very soon with another live, and hopefully on Sunday with a YouTube video. So make sure you guys check it out. Love you guys. Bye.
I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief.